Oranges.
Oranges.
Tangerines, but nothing sweet as clementine.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to AD D&D. For anyone who doesn't know, AD D&D is a D&D event run by Animation Dingle and sponsored by Dakota Irish. My name is Gabriel Galway. I am the Dungeon Master of these games. And today we're just going to do a chill little Q&A for anyone who might have any questions about the campaign, the adventure, or just about D&D in general, like DM prep, character creation, anything like that. And also we'll just be chatting to each other. And feel free to throw in any questions that you have along the way, and we'll try to answer all of them. Yes, so with me here, I currently have Gavin and Alice. So Gavin, would you like to introduce yourself and who you are playing in this game?
Sure. Hello, I am Gavin. I am playing Clementine, the beautiful, flamboyant, flower-covered satyr friend. Wizard Bard.
Yeah, very, very charming.
Him in the right here.
Yeah, the little guy bouncing down.
I think
there.
it's no, it might be it. It's over here. It's over here. Actually,
got it.
It's over there.
You're
Yeah.
holding him. Amazing.
But yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Alice, who are you playing in this game? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. So yeah, I am playing the very small and very tall Tinky and Clinky, the autonome artificer, and Gavin, what? Oh yes,
Perfect.
we have the flower crown.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I'm playing Tinky and Clinky, which is Tinky is an autonome artificer, and Clinky is her steel defender companion.
Perfect. Beautiful. So my first question, because we'll wait for some other people to hop in here, but my first question for you two is how have you found the game so far? Is it what you expected it to be? And what have you not expected, or what have you enjoyed? That's a lot of questions. I'll start with: is this the kind of game you expected to be, or is it a little different to what you expected? Where was to go, Gavin? You can take it.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know really what I was expecting. When you first really told us about it, I was very excited for all of the Irish lore, but. I was really surprised by all of the Irish lore, you know? I felt it was like one of those, there's Irish people in this media, and then there's like a background actor who's Irish. And it's like, no, we got to meet Cú Chulainn, and I never realized how much I wanted to meet Cú Chulainn in a game until Cú Chulainn. And
cool.
I think Cú Chulainn was portrayed, honestly, the way he should have been. And I think he would have been bred.
Just a boy.
He's just a lad.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. It's a lot of fun. The group's a lot of fun to play with.
The players are fantastic. You're all just incredible. So much fun. You are the life and blood of the whole thing. Honestly, it's just so much fun.
We're just some aspects on the canvas.
Not at all.
You're the painter.
I mean, you're kind of taking up most of the canvas, to be honest, but I'll paint around you. But yourself,
one of those
Alice.
color in the dots.
What did you expect out of this? That's probably a better question to have asked.
Oh God, I really didn't know what to expect out of this. Considering we kind of came in with, very, very. With such little details, but also so much lore as well. Like we came in with like a map of Gostar, and we came in with the land, towns, cities, the setting, and then of course since the first session, it's like you think you're going one way, but you just turn us on our heads, and we're just like. I guess we're going with it now. Happily. I think I kind of like Gavin. I expected Irish lore and folklore, but I didn't expect it. I think just everything has been such a wonderful surprise, really.
Oh, that's nice to hear. That's cool. Nice.
I second that.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. So I had this campaign pretty much all prepped before we sent out all the details to everyone. I had most of it prepped. By the time we'd gotten to pick our players, the majority of it at the stage had been set. But then as soon as I got the characters, I'm like, well, fuck. These are great characters. And obviously I have to make it all about them because it's more interesting when it is about your character, I think. And even as we've been playing, I've been like, well, this is going in the trash because that doesn't fit here anymore. This is way cooler to follow, and that's been nice. But so far, it's pretty much on track, except for a few things that I'm kind of laying down the paths for and the setup for. But it's really funny. I'll admit right now, Titus was never a part of any of it. He was just meant to be there as a fun little thing for the session 0. I was like, I like Titus. He's a good character. I'll put him in here, and he's he's a familiar character. I'll be able to do a session 0 around him. And now he's buried his roots into the foundation of this thing, and it's quite.
He's the sole part of the crew.
Yeah. And
I mean, he has to be. He took the boat.
Yeah.
Stole it.
Slight kind of, I don't know if that's screwed with any of your little things that you're planning
not
with,
at all.
It's just funny how he's become such a big character now, and he's quite involved with the party. So I was like, well, fuck, I gotta change this and this, these core elements now, and insert Titus instead. But have you got any moments so far in the game that you've really enjoyed? Have you got any highlights?
Ooh.
I mean, that's why we have the highlights channel in our little Discord.
I mean, the very the first session, was it the first session? I think it was the first session where we were just having the little festival, and I legitimately was like, what is supposed to happen here for the next 8 sessions when we're at the party?
We're already here.
We're already here. What is? Yeah. Is this a whole area gonna span 8 sessions?
Yeah.
And then Phiast comes out and murders us all. I'm not gonna lie, probably one of the strongest starts to a campaign I've ever been in.
Oh hell yeah, yes.
Oh no, not without a doubt.
Oh, that's great. I mean, the thing, it was difficult with that first session because there was so much I wanted to get to kick off the story, that whole thing with Unfetched. Most of it was taking place there, and I know how long combat can take. So I was like, okay, we got to move into the festival and it probably felt really weird that it felt rushed as well, because it's like, but then it's over. The game is over when we get to the festival. Let's just go to a bar and let's go here. I'm like,
toddle along.
But it's always fun to. That was one of the best pieces of writing experience I've ever learned. Was nowadays with movie, you have to catch the audience in the first 30 seconds or something. You can give a little more time with D&D, but I figured, and that was actually the first bit of advice I learned with D&D. It was in 4th edition. They start you off with the very first kind of starter campaign. They start you right into combat. You're immediately in combat, and they suggest that they're like, when you start a campaign, you should throw the party into something epic to start off, and it's always fun to do. Because otherwise, as characters, you just end up latching on to the first thing you see, which could just be a random throwaway NPC, like Titus. And then you're like, this is the plot, we'll follow this. And it's like ducklings and stuff, or seeing their whatever character they see first, okay, we'll follow that.
This man has appeared in front of me, and he shall never leave my side.
Yeah.
I will follow him until the end.
We have a question there, actually. We have favorite NPCs as well, but I'll get to you first, Alice, with have you got a highlight so far?
Oh gosh, I think every session we just have a highlight every week. I'm not too sure. I would agree with Gavin with the first session with on Phiast, just absolutely wiping us out after having such a nice day. But I think for me, I'm kind of stuck between a couple highlights actually for Iridessa that Luke plays. Every week Luke comes out with Iridessa saying something that I have to mute my mic to laugh so loud. But I'll forever remember the conversation when I think it was session 0 or I think it was session 0 where Iridessa had to distract the guard Crumbly. And it was just the entire conversation and how it just, the projection of Crumbly onto Iridessa, and just when myself and Eval came back up and, or before we went down, in fact, down the stairs, and Iridessa was trying to, flick her hair, have a little flirt, and then when Crumbly just wouldn't get it, Luke just came out with the best line by turning around to Eval and Tinky going, "I think he's gay," and just two of us being like, "What?
This always works. Why isn't it working?"
It always works. Why isn't it working?
He's immune to my charm. That man is a gay man.
Yeah. And then, of course, the lovely follow-up line when we came back of, "I want everything from you, Crumbly." It's truly, it gives me life. If I ever feel down, I'll just think of how Luke said that, and how I can just imagine Iridessa having Luke's voice saying that.
Yeah, it's amazing how well Luke's capturing that character. I think I have yet to play a PC of the opposite gender of my own or whatever.
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
How'd that go?
I have. I don't know. I think it went great. I played a gunslinging Minotaur called
I loved her.
Sir Lucian Delaplace. Sir for tax reasons, because men have more respect. It's fantasy, but it's not make believe. But she ran this it was called the Delaplace's Delectable Traveling Brothel.
Brilliant name. Gorgeous name.
It was the cleanest place in all of existence because it's fantasy. And I was like, yeah, no, that shit is immaculate.
Nice.
But she was a Southern Belle gunslinger.
Beautiful.
And she was actually, earlier, saying, characters not dying. I actually just had her leave the campaign.
Oh.
Because she spent 2 weeks in the city, and she has a business. She had to travel. She was like, I have 2 weeks here. I'll mess around with you guys, and we'll go on an adventure, but then I'm on my way.
Well, it's kind of like a summer fling or something.
Yeah, it was that. It was just she came in, said hi, left. It was actually a lot of fun playing the opposite,
Yeah. You played Sir so well, to the point my character, who is in said campaign, is still just I still have Sir's part of the bounty money that we collected, but she left before I could give it to her. When is she coming back? I have just a pouch of 75 gold pieces being when is Sir gonna come back? I want her to come back. And someone had to be like, she's not coming back. She went to work.
You might find
she
her.
Had to go back to work.
Find her around.
I hope
city or so.
She owes you 70. My character owes you 75 gold. He has your part of the bounty.
But yeah, Luke plays her amazingly.
Yeah.
I think Luke and Clementine get on a lot together.
They're like the parents of the group. I love the Kronk and Yzma dynamic as well. It's so good.
Beautiful.
Hellish Bard here said, "What's everyone's favorite NPCs so far? Have you got a favorite?"
Captain Wellflower.
Oh I love.
I'm sorry, but you came in with the sweetest, most timid badass ever, who was just like,
Yeah.
"I'm sorry, I really don't want to continue this conversation." Banishment, like,
Yeah. So at
like
the end of
it was
Wallflower,
immaculate.
Wallflower
Gave
will be,
everyone whiplash.
love Wallflower. But yeah, that was. She does not just exist in the session 0. She's good solid character. So you'll be happy to hear it.
I'm glad.
She'll come.
If I see her again, I can't wait. Bring her on.
It was funny because when with Wallflower, I had her down in my head, but I hadn't practiced any voice yet, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I'll just wing it because I know exactly her mindset and stuff. So I just went into that very insecure mindset all of a sudden, and I like even my whole demeanor kind of shrunk up as well. It's like, so yeah, it was really funny getting into that headspace.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. The voice just, it captured me. It got me so good.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that voice, for sure. How about yourself, Alice? Have you got a favorite NPC so far?
Oh, probably when the Lord of Muses was still his little cutesy form.
Spider.
That was,
Yeah.
oh, I was just taken. I was taken there and then. And when the riddle was read, and you completely embodied this cutesy little hellish being, to the last line of and who would you never kiss? And I was just like mute and just laughed my head off. Oh, it was just. And then, of course, the change in demeanor to becoming the Lord of Muses.
Very
The
kind of
personification of the hot chocolate song, sexy thing.
It's a weird duality though with the kiddish naivety and the super sexy man, but I guess that's very Fae too. Like they just don't give a shit. But
yeah.
I mean, look
I
at
just loved
Clementine.
that.
He looks like a early 20-year-old, and he's like a century old.
Yeah. That duality.
You know.
But children are so much fun to play. I just love kids' mindsets, where kind of everything they say is gospel as well, and just so matter of fact. Like if you ask a kid to describe what God is, they're like have no problem. They don't have to think about it. They're like, obviously he has orange hair, and he wears a flower crown, and he does breakdancing because that kid loves breakdancing.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my god! I'm after coming up with a horrifically. I mean, it really depends on how people take it. Idea for like an adventure, a D&D adventure. A party comes across like a village or a town where everything is just going tits up. Like there's things that don't make sense. Gravity, is messed up. There's candy floss for clouds, and the adventure party has to figure out what's happening, and it's just a little wild magic sorcerer child who is just going around coming up with random shit, and then because of their wild magic it just appears.
That's cool. I
love that.
I've been writing a campaign 2 for the 6-year campaign I've been doing so far, where we're going to play they're the children of their characters, 20-30 years in the future. But one of the main characters, one of the main plots of that is there is this child who is this very, I don't want to give any spoilers away in case they're watching, but very powerful arcane being, and they will have to kind of take that character under the wing, and depending on how they treat that character and stuff, they'll develop in different ways. Because I've been playing so much Dragon Age, and I love those decisions and how people can branch off into either the villain or the hero or something in between, or just someone who starts up a bakery. But kids' imaginations are wild. I'm glad I use some of those ideas that you just said.
You're just so blunt.
Yeah, that's a great word, is blunt.
I follow there's this Twitter user on Twitter, strangely, who it's called the Child DM. It's this person who keeps putting out tweets based on their 6-year-old child who DMs. Like their 6-year-old, or at the time it was 6-year-old, but they could be older now. But they just started DMing for them, and it's been wild. And they just come out with like some random stuff a lot. And the child was like one time being like, you can like plan a song to a rock song, plan a campaign to a rock song. It's like, wow, you can. And it's like children are just mental.
Yeah, fantastic.
Putting one of those in the driver's seat is something I want to see.
Yeah, it's just constant. What's it called? Just the immediate first thought is like a constant stream of consciousness. Fuck, can't phrase that right, but yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
There's no limits with
filters.
them.
Yeah, no limits and no filters or anything. It's just
absolutely.
Of course it is. Yeah.
It's just they go for it. There is genuinely nothing stopping them.
I mean, to a child, nothing sounds silly. Like
Yeah.
God breakdancing and wearing flower crowns. That's God, you know. Like that doesn't sound silly. The kids, my favorite thing about kids is the fact that they say everything so matter-of-factly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you'll just ask them something and they'll tell you you're actually blue.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry to tell you, but your
They say it
skin's
with
actually
such confidence that you're like, am I? I mean, I might
yeah,
be
you're
somewhere.
second guessing yourself.
Yeah. Another question here as well. Someone's wondering, have you got any running theories so far? They're very curious to see, or interested in hearing if you have any running theories and what's going on, what's happening.
Oh.
Running theories.
I don't have a theory, but I have a thought.
A film theory.
Was when we were all dreaming and how I think it was Titus ended up in everyone's memories and dreams. I'd love to see how that pans out, or if it plays out later. Whether that was a forewarning or whether that was kind of a, because of course we're very much a party that's still to this day split between, do we trust Titus and no, he's drunk. Get him away from the steering wheel, don't give him that bottle that is literally a battery. You know, and there's those people that's like, the bottle, it'll be fine. So I'd like to see kind of how that plays out, whether it's a forewarning or whether it's, you know, you should trust him, he's always been there. You know, maybe he's our very intoxicated Jack Sparrow-esque guardian angel, or whether it's like, maybe you shouldn't trust him. Maybe he knew about this all along. You know, I'd love to see how that's going to play out, or if it does, it might not.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting thought. That one. I won't say anything on it, but just interesting the wording you use there. How about yourself, Gavin? Have you got any thoughts?
Oh, I think we're the problem.
Oh, you think you're the problem?
I think we're the bad guys.
Oh,
I think we're the problem. I mean, because it literally all started because when we were climbing the tower last session, and it was like, right, guys, this is the taxidermy. Do not tell him about Titus the Black Dragon.
Titus? Who's Titus?
Yeah, who's Titus? And I'm like, oh no.
Butterfly effect, shit.
Oh no.
And we all had to just improvise being like, no, he didn't say that.
We're definitely going to pick up some magic artifact that's going to be like, here, this is how you save on Phiast. And then we're going to go back to like just before he gets like cursed, and we're going to give it to him, and then that's going to be the cursed item that curses him. And then it's going to be, oh no, we have to save him actually this time.
Gotta save him all over again. Wait, I gotta edit some thingies here. Hello, Luke.
Hello.
Hello, I am so sorry I'm late. I got caught up with something there. Apologies.
No worries at all. I'm just going to edit our little pictures here on the stream.
Oh god, no, everybody on stream, don't look.
Don't look, everybody. Look away for a few moments, please.
Look at my Steven face.
Don't look at me.
Hello.
Oh,
Look
I love
at
how I just got
my wall of board games.
I'm so jealous. I've seen them, and I'm...
I know.
Don't know what
It's
to
not
say,
even
to be
full
honest.
of all the things. Like, there's other things as well. We just don't have any room for any of it. So I have like a chair over there, chock a block full of them. But anyway, how are you guys doing?
Too many,
Nice.
too many.
Not too bad.
Very good.
Not too bad. How are you, Luke? Great to see you again.
Oh, thank you. Good to see you as well. Sorry, now I'll get that down. I had a bit of family drama there that I had to take care of. My poor youngest man is sick, so yeah. So it was a little bit of unexpected.
Yeah, no worries at all.
That is unfortunate. Alice's light bulb blew, so just before the stream, so everything's kind of going amok. That's
no.
It's a great time.
No,
Like
Alice.
like it literally exploded there with glass everywhere.
Oh my
There is
God.
no bulb left in my lab. It is just the bottom.
Oh, no.
It was impressive.
That's so unfortunate. That's so unfortunate. Like, how did that happen?
I'm not an electrician. I'm not.
Turned it on.
I'm just a student.
Yeah, she looked at it
Oh,
wrong,
no.
and it went.
Yeah.
I
would you
flicked
look at
the
me
switch
like that?
wrong.
So we were just going through some questions there in the chat, and one, Luke, was if anyone had any running theories for the campaign so far. Have you got any? Have you been thinking about? Also, do you want to introduce yourself before and who you play? In the campaign.
Well, I mean, I play Erdessa. That's it.
Perfect, brilliant, thank you. Brilliant, Luke.
Thank you very much.
That's all we need.
She tries to be good, and she's a little bit bossy in a good way. She means well anyway. Yeah. So she yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know in terms of theories about the campaign. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to work it out in my head. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm
glad.
Well, my theory is that we're the problem.
Yeah,
I feel like we're the bad guys.
I liked your theory a lot. But, if you wanna...
So
Yeah.
we're the bad guys.
I did that one time.
He's not a good man.
No, he's not a good guy. No, he's not a good guy. It's funny you should say that because I totally did that with a campaign once where I set the players against, basically they were the bad guys, but they didn't know they were the bad guys. And it was hilarious because I know how one of the players is, and I don't think he's watching today, but if he is, I tell this story all the time. But anyway, him and this other, it was just two of them. And playing, and they were both dwarves. I think they were brothers or comrades anyway, and they came back from war, and one thing leads to another, and they find out that the king is trying to kill them. And they're like, why is he trying to kill us? We're war heroes, blah 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 blah, we're so cool. And then so they went on this rage, and long story short, they ended up killing the king, right? And they were both like one of them was a lawful good character and the other one was neutral good or something like that. And they were like, so they think they're doing good because they think the king's evil. They kill the king, and as he dies, he's like, "Oh, the prophecy has been fulfilled." Like this prophecy that they heard about these people killing the king, or these bad people, whatever. It ended up being them, and it was hilarious. And they were like, "Oh my god!" And I'll never forget the look on the one guy's face. He's played since like edition 1, and he was like, "What?" And it was the best moment ever because you can't surprise that guy with anything. So
Nice.
yeah, it's always fun when the
amazing.
players are the bad guys.
And another question we had there in the chat was, have you got any favorite NPCs so far in the game?
Oh god, favorite NPCs.
What's the first one that comes to mind?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Crumbly.
Yes. Crumbly.
Crumbly was the best. I love Crumbly.
Yeah. I mean, it's so
He
funny
was so
'cause-
good.
what's his name again? It was Filio, I think, basically. I call him Filio, and his last name sounded like pastry, so he was meant to be like Philo Pastry, which is super crumbly
Oh, wow.
pastry. So that's
Hold
why
on,
his
I might
nickname
have
is
his
Crumbly.
I might have his name written down because I was taking so many notes that session. Hold on, I've got my little book of secrets.
Yeah, Brilo Pastori. But his nickname is
Yes.
Crumbly because he sounds like Philo
Yeah, because I
Pastry.
wrote it down as Brillo, as in a Brillo pad.
So good. It's so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was crying laughing about that afterwards. I was like, Crumbly, is that you?
Crumbly.
Give me everything, Crumbly. So good.
I want everything for you, Crumbly.
Such a good line.
I don't know. I really like Iridescence as a character. I just find her just an interesting. I don't know what it is. It's kind of those things where you kind of discover the character over time. Because like Iridessa, for anybody who doesn't know this, Iridessa comes from my own homebrew world. Gabriel has very kindly converted her to his world, and so. But the Iridessa is this brilliant character where I just find out more about her as I go along. I'm just like, oh yeah, so Iridessa is that brilliant. Okay, I didn't know that. It's like finding out new things about this person that you thought you knew. Yeah. It's brilliant.
We were saying how you play her very well. Like you can just very clearly imagine her in your head. I think very, very clearly.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Oh no, of course.
It's true.
Very true. But I was just saying as well as before, like at the start of this, like it's the characters in this campaign. They're just so good. Every one of them are just golden. So much fun, so entertaining, and so dynamic as well. Amazingly, like with that prompt, you're all artists and stuff, but you've really just gone into super diverse branches of that, and it's super exciting for me, anyways, at the end. And great that I can just take a back seat sometimes and be like, just keep going, guys. You're doing great.
Just
sit here much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's free entertainment.
Yeah,
it's great. I don't know. It's interesting though because I mean I've played a lot of TTRPG games before.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever encountered a group like what we've got. It's pretty fun, pretty interesting, and like I feel like everybody understands their characters like intimately, right? Which I was saying to my wife, I was like, I think that comes from the fact that you guys are artists, right? So I think there's something about that the you know what I mean, because I think when you draw a character as well, you kind of feel like that's your baby, right? I mean, that's you're putting your heart and soul into whatever you're drawing, and so I feel like you probably know your character better than, I don't know, say your average min-maxer out there who's just like, right, I'm gonna create the most powerful character in the world, and no one can stop him, you know.
That's a really good point, because that's my main goal in playing D&D is I don't care about giving my wizard a 12 in intelligence, if it makes sense for story. Like when I go for D&D, also I go for the story. I'm like, what kind of character story am I trying to tell? I won't shoot myself in the foot by giving myself incredibly low stats, but I mean, character story and interactions with other people comes definitely first before making sure I know how many points of AC I can get with my blade song with Clementine. I wouldn't have picked a satyr if I wanted that,
Yeah, of course. But it's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no! It's if you want to go ahead.
I immediately forgot what I was going to say as soon as I started talking. So please do while I'm trying to remember.
I'm so sorry. I was gonna add on to that, to what Gavin said, where in fact he did that. The most memorable one for me is he made a character called Chug, and legit, it's such a wonderful character to play with. And the one thing he always did, he was a rogue, wasn't he?
Yes, he was an arcane trickster rogue.
He was an arcane trickster rogue who believed in his heart and soul he was a wizard.
I've seen the.
I'm sure he was a wizard. He was a wizard from the moment he got his voice.
Oh yes.
Jesus Christ! Would you believe that this is his voice? He was a wizard from the moment he got his arcane trickster powers.
Incredible. Oh my God,
it was amazing. Fun fact: he's actually Sir Lucian's son.
Yes. Gavin has created what we call the Chug.
Yeah. You said, I remember. Yeah.
Started with Chug, went downhill from there. It was such a moment where it was, of all things, like, he was a rogue. You don't have the stats for, a wizard if you're a rogue.
It's like Dex also was like a 14.
Yeah. It was such a funny, just stat build for Chug, and it was because of the role playing element in the story that he gave Chug the magic, and just it was such a moment to behold when he was able to cast Mage Hand. Oh my god. It was when that happened, it was like it was a complete character arc that just was fantastic. Oh, it was such a moment. And
I
yeah,
love
like it
that
was
when
so
you're
much
playing,
better than
you have like these character moments, and you're like, "Oh my god!" You know, and you're almost as happy for the character as the player is. Do you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
what's great.
Yeah.
There's a thing they talk about when you're DMing, but you need to be able to give every player character the spotlight at some point, right? You need to be able to allow for that space so that everybody feels like they get the spotlight at one moment, you know? And I think you kind of have to do that, right? Because if once you do that, then you allow people the breadth to be able to do what Gavin did with that character, like, you know what I mean, to be able to, well, I'm actually a wizard, but he's not. He's an arcane-trickster. But it's the same thing. It's like with Iridessa, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm a silver dragon. Are you really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you don't look like a silver dragon to me. But it's those flaws we put in them. I think that's what makes them human or relatable more than anything, really.
Yeah. Interesting to talk about characters as well. We have a question here as well. They're curious where the inspiration for the characters came from, like for each of your characters.
By the way, I'm channeling Travis William here with my Werthers.
I got dates.
I wish I had Werthers. Actually,
always have them.
Werther's train. I'll Werther's train. Have you had the chewy ones with the caramel in the middle? The greatest ones ever in existence.
They are pretty good.
They're like these chewy Werthers with like this vanilla cream on the inside.
Ooh.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Good.
Wow.
Amazing.
I'm kind of obsessed with it. So,
Dope.
actually, I just noticed that Gavin has Clementine's crown on. That's brilliant.
I do. Clementine's crown. It doesn't fit over the headset, but
I love that it's slightly suspended above your head. It's almost like
It's a little
floating.
halo.
yeah.
I like how
He is magic.
see him being Clementine. You could not see me being Iridessa, but you could see Alice being Tiki and him being Clementine with the hat on.
I want you to
Was he
get
dead?
just one of those very, cheap silver wigs and just put it on. Like...
Oh my god,
Yeah,
yes.
the live one. Oh my god, to do that for the
Real
live one.
tacky.
Oh my god,
You just-
I'm doing that.
You just gotta do Iridessa drag.
yeah.
You just gotta do Iridessa drag. Like,
Okay, hear me out. Gavin's got a good idea.
no realism, just like over exaggerated all. Like, put silver on her face. Like,
Little cape.
you could give her like bejeweled cheeks to look like scales. That'd be cool.
And
Oh,
do
God.
the old like early 2000s look where like your eyeshadow was like metallic, like non-transparent
Yes.
metallic, and it's like box. Please,
Incredible.
please.
I have got to lose a lot more weight before that's happening.
Iridessa just needs to put on
okay.
a couple pounds. You know,
exactly.
Iridessa
Oh my god, that would
Just
be a lot of fun.
rock up in an Iridessa cosplay dress, please.
What was,
but to the point
oh,
that
yeah,
you
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
that Luke mentioned that I could pull off Clementine, is that's a big factor of how I create my characters visually. Is I should and could pull them off by dressing up as them. Like, I have 2 or 3 characters who have mutton chops the same as I do. Only because it's like, if I was to play them, I want to look like them. No. But I don't really give my characters like black hair or some weird extravagant thing that they'll have to dye my hair or something.
Don't worry, Gav, I can do it for you.
And what was Tinky's inspiration? Where did you come up with that? Little spark of
Funnily enough,
genius.
the creation of Tinky was actually for a homebrew Halloween session that Gavin ran. Yeah, and that was kind of the bare bones start of it. Was I wanted to delve into playing as an artificer, and I had just bought the Spelljammer expansion pack, and I was like, I really want to use this. So that was my first time ever playing as an artificer. And of course I hadn't fleshed her out. I barely fleshed her out. And then the chance to, when the whole Dingle thing came up, I was looking at all of the characters that I had on I have D&D Beyond. I was looking at all my characters on it, and I kind of just went, what if I just completely rejigger to this brief? And I started to do it, and I just kind of went, this is what I want. I really love where this is going. And the more I thought about it, the more I put into it, and when I was looking at like the world and everything that you would put in, I just kind of went, oh no, this is so much, this is a lot more like fleshed out, and there's more personality in her that I was able to kind of give to her. And yeah, that's kind of how it was really kind of, the start was for a Halloween session.
Nice, yeah. And the best characters come from those kind
now in a campaign.
Nice, that's nice. I'm amazed so many of you actually read all the kind of lore dumps that I chucked in.
Oh yeah.
But it's nice to hear that some of you read it, so that's nice.
The lore was great. Yeah, I had to.
Oh yeah.
It was
for
kind of... Sorry, go on.
Oh no, go on.
No, I was just gonna say the lore was kind of there for people who wanted to take the character further. I think I've tried to make this campaign something that you can approach even if you hadn't read all that stuff as well. You just get more out of it if you have. But yeah, I'm so glad so many people did. But yeah, you were saying about Clementine.
Oh no, I was just saying I didn't have an idea originally, but then as soon as you gave us the brief, and Gostar was very close to the Fae. I've really wanted to play a Fae character for so long, being one and all. So I needed to go back to my roots and play the Faes. And satyrs are one of my favorite things ever, so I was like, hell yeah. And then I just really like the idea of a really strong, like, not barbarian or fighter, but like just a real strong, like, muscly guy with just like the most, like, softest Victorian, like, voice, and just covered in flowers.
The voice is so...
I was like...
it
was like one of my main things for it. I was like just a big buff dude who just speaks like flowers.
It's kind of
like he sounds like flowers.
It's like almost JoJo vibes there with the big buff dude, but like kind of Fae fantasy JoJo in a way. It's cool. I really like that. And Iridessa, Luke, where was the original spark for Iridessa?
Yeah, well, I mean, you and I talked a little bit about it off camera, screen, whatever, but basically Iridessa was kind of she's an integral part of my own world and the story there, and the homebrew world. So I mean, I won't bore people with that one, but like basically she's a pretty pivotal character in it. But the way I kind of went about, I don't know, I was thinking about it there while Gavin was talking about it, and like, for me, I think Iridessa was almost this like counter character. Like, there's all these characters, and particularly in groups I play with, and they're like, people are like trying to explore moral ambiguity, and they're trying to explore, oh well, what is, I don't know, just there's a lot of kind of like back and forth. People are trying to muddy the waters and make stuff gray and stuff. And I just kind of felt like, what if you just had a person who was just good, like for no reason other than that they're just good, right? And then I was reading through. Yeah, like just be like, they're just a good person because they're a good person, Yeah. And I was reading through the dragons because it was, as I said, she's kind of an integral part of the world, and dragons have something to do with it as well. And I came across silver dragons, and I was reading through, and if you ever read through the silver dragon kind of overview in the monster guide, it's like brilliant. It's exactly what like, it was perfect for what I wanted to do with Iridessa. And then I was like, what if I create this character because I was like,
oh no!
Just froze. No, Luke, come back to us.
He was speaking too much. He was dropping too much. Lower the internet.
His players came over and just cut his cables.
Yeah.
We don't want any more of this.
It was Whiskey. Whiskey said, no, this can't be
Whiskey
happening.
came
He's literally just about to dump the biggest
Yeah,
drop there.
the biggest lore dump.
biggest spoiler for his players.
No, couldn't have that happening.
Have you guys got any questions for me?
Is
it okay?
Oh.
He'll be right back, and I'm not going to change the. There we go. Hello, Luke. You got cut off for a second. We were saying it's probably the biggest lore dump ever that you're going to drop and it like spoil everything for your players.
It was really funny because you guys were talking. You were like, "Oh, he's frozen," and I'm like, "But I'm not. I'm here." What are you guys talking about? No, basically it was just like I saw the Silver Dragon thing and I thought that's perfect for Iridessa and what I wanted to do with it. But I was like, can't have a Silver Dragon walking around the place. So, and she was to end up being a part of the party that we were playing with. So it was like, well, I need to kind of nerf her down. And it was just kind of like an exploratory thing going, okay, well, now I know what her backstory is. I know where she's coming from. I know what... And then I was like, well, of course she's going to be a cleric. And of course she's going to be a life cleric. Just it fit with her perfectly. And then it was just, in my world, the part of with Iridessa, what I love about Iridessa is, Iridessa goes through some shit in my world. Like, she gets... There's a part where she's kidnapped and she gets tortured and like she's, and the whole thing is how does she retain being a good person when all this bad shit happens? That was what I wanted to kind of explore with that character at the time. Now that didn't happen in this world, but still the idea behind it is that Iridessa goes through struggle, and then how does Iridessa cope with that but still maintain being good, right? And as I said to you, one of the things that I'm really keen to explore with her is vulnerability. So like Iridessa was a dragon, right? Dragons are a very proud race. They're they're immortal, and they have a particular kind of not joie de vivre, but a certain kind of way that they hold themselves in life, because they're like long-lived things, And then suddenly this silver dragon becomes human, and they're stuck human for a long time. And what does that do to their psyche? How does that affect Iridessa? How does she become, And for me, I see her becoming more vulnerable as she, becomes more a human woman, and less a silver dragon. So it's really interesting for me to be able to explore that kind of dynamicism, with the characters. So that was kind of the genesis of her. I don't know. I like it. I like having those complex characters where you're trying to understand the morality of stuff, blah blah blah. But like sometimes I'm just like, well, what if you just have a character who's good, and bad shit happens, but they stay good, and why do they stay good? And what are the things that they're doing? So
it's very refreshing having a lawful good character in one of my games. It's just like I've not had that before, and it's just really funny seeing the sides Iridessa takes. Just it's very, very distinct. There's very little gray there. It's just like she's on this side, she will fight this like side till her dying breath, and that's really fun. Like especially like with Titus and stuff. It's just like he's bad, nasty guy. We do not trust. No.
I was about to say.
Gag.
I was about to say, look, she is going through incredible torture. Being around Titus.
Titus, exactly.
Titus is there. The smell is...
Oh, God. Yeah.
Guerrilla tactic. Like,
wicked.
War crime.
But I like it as well because, like, at one point, like, Iridessa is, like, sneaking him barrels of rum to keep him drunk so he doesn't cough.
Yeah, so she's kind of doing bad things as well.
He's kind of being a little bit of a shit.
Self-preservation.
You brought me to this.
She's like, just keep getting fucked up, buddy. It'll be fine. She's like, I want to get up for some fresh air. Here, drink.
Yeah.
So,
it kind of brings it back to the point that you were saying earlier, Gabriel. Whereas, characters breaking. When does a character's story end? With the character from your home game, and it's like I like Iridessa because it's like how much stuff can she go through before being good isn't good enough? It's like how much stuff does she have to go through before she starts thinking about other things? And I really love seeing it being played out.
Yeah.
And it's interesting as well because like a lot of people see it as being inevitable, right? Like it's kind of like the idea of see, this is why I made her a silver dragon, right? Because silver dragons are lawful good. Like they aren't. It's like a part of their nature, right? And I think that's interesting I could get into that another thing with D&D, but monsters have to have certain, like, there's reasons why, like, you know, a devil is lawful evil, right?
Yeah.
And there's and these things are important within the game, right, in terms of alignments and things like that. So technically, a silver dragon is lawful good. So like, what happens then? Again, that vulnerability side, right? So she's now, you know, seeing herself more as a human woman as opposed to being a silver dragon. Then how does that affect things? But I think what's really fun in some ways is to explore. Well, okay, you can come up to the point, and then do you turn, right? And like, it's exactly as Gavin's saying, that it's that journey, right? It's one of those things I love Brandon Sanderson, and I love if you ever read the oh my god, the Stormlight Archives, and one of the things that he has in there is these oaths that these characters take, and one of them, the first one is journey before weakness, or journey before destination, strength before weakness, you know, stuff like that. So it's kind of this idea behind that there's I've screwed that up totally, but anyway, there's a journey, right, that you're going through, and that's what it's about. It's about the journey, not about the end, not about the beginning of the destination, right? And that's kind of what I find interesting about these characters, particularly like your guys' characters, because obviously I know where Odessa sits and things, and even though she surprises me sometimes, it's fun to watch Clem, it's fun to watch Tinky, and I see Tinky, like, I don't know, it's really interesting, it's fascinating the way you're playing Tinky as well, Alice, because like, why did you want to play Tinky in that particular way? What was it that kind of drew you to playing it in more of a, I don't know, not a childlike way, but almost that childish innocence way? What was it that drew for you?
I love kind of the lore behind autonomes, where they're made after their makers. And so what I came up with her is that she was made in a lab, and that's where she spent most of her time, because by the time she was fully sentient, she only spent a little bit of time with her creator. So when her creator just up and left, she was left to books and knowledge of the lab, which was vast, but she never truly understood why she was made. And I love the idea of being able to play her as kind of a, not exactly like a hippie of, oh my god, you were given life, love life and all that, but rather she has this insatiable yet innocent hunger for knowledge, where she's always just like, why is this a part of life? You know, why was I was given this opportunity, rather than I'm here to celebrate my life and being alive, but rather I'm here to learn. I want to know more. I have no idea what is going on with the world, but I want to know why. What's the drive behind it? She loves magic because she's a robot, you know. It's not like wizards and sorcerers where it's like basically part of every fiber of your being and your soul that, you know, you can weave magic and power. For her, she's like, I learned it from a book, and I wrote it on the closest thing near me that I could keep with me, which was cogs and gears that I'm made of. So that's how she casts her spells, rather than like, you know, your own focus. So of course magic is a big draw for her. So she's always just like, she's no idea how it happens, but she wants to know more. And I really like playing characters that have kind of an innocence to them. Whether they get corrupt or not, that's completely up to how the story goes. But I really like playing characters that are a bit dim, because I myself am a bit dim. That was proven this morning on the walk into college.
It was proven before the stream when your light blew out.
Yeah. Dim. I like it. I'm here for it.
So in ways, she's a little bit of a relatable character, in the sense of, we all know someone who is just a little bit dim but is incredibly curious about things and will just ask questions. So I think that was my drive really with playing Tinky the way she is. I love the thought of characters, you know, they have a strong knowledge in one thing. So for her, of course, it's her intelligence. She's book smart. She's not street smart.
Yeah.
You know, it's the balance between the two of them, and of course her wanting to find out more.
Yeah, I love having that duality in characters. It's great to give them like I love giving a character an 8 or something lower to play with. It just adds it's a whole bunch of nice kind of textures and dimensions to them all of a sudden. I think he's lovely. Do you have like an idea of where you imagine Tinky being by the end of this game? Or did you have an idea like that with Tinky before you came into it? Did you have like a goal in mind for Tinky?
I do have an idea of what I'd like to do with her, because all she wants is to learn how to be truly creative. She's a mechanical thinker. She is a mechanical tinker, and because that's what she is. She's got her tinker's tools and she's an artificer and all that. So I'd love for her to have, at the end of it, whether it's with or without the blessing of An Phiast, that she is somehow able to unlock that creative side of her, to be able to think so freely as though she had, body and soul of a human, the human element to her work. Because when you look at Clinky, that's not human. That's not a human design. So I'd love to just give her that little spark. I say her being a robot. I'd love to give her just that spark of creativity at the end, just so that she can kind of go like, oh, I can do that. Oh my goodness.
Lovely. How about everyone else? Did you have a path for like Iridessa or Clementine like in your head, or a goal in mind when you made them, or as you've been playing?
Iridessa just wants to get stuff, right? I mean, that's the Dragon Horde part of it. She's just like, I need to get me some art. That was the main thing.
For you.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's just for Iridessa, it's just she's there to try to. I think what she's interested. It's funny because we haven't really gotten into that yet, because the guys. There's been a little bit of art creation, but now obviously with An Phiast and the whole inspiration thing dying down, you know what I mean? It'd be interesting to see. But she's gonna start being like, Bronte, I just kind of need that painting. I just kind of need it. Yep, I have that, please.
Therapy painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Super
Clementine, you made some shit with flowers. I'm gonna need that.
Starting to like go into withdrawal, like.
Yeah. She's like,
Inspiration's dying. I'm a get the last bit of inspired creative pieces ever.
Yeah. So that was the main thing. I to be honest with you, I wasn't sure where you were gonna go with the necklace. So I was kind of like debating out. So I'm really curious to see what you're doing with that bit of it and how you're tying that in. But yeah. So yeah, her goals might change. They're kind of already starting to change a bit. So.
Yeah, I was just curious in general, because obviously those can happen in a campaign. It can go in all different directions. But I was just curious in general. Is there any for like Clementine? Did you have anything?
I mean, we haven't really gotten into it, but Clementine really doesn't have the greatest belief in his own ability. Yeah, the confidence. He's not really like he. It's practically why I gave him the whole floral outwardly presentation, is because he's trying to mask the fact that he doesn't feel like that naturally. From where he comes from kind of a bit of spoiler territory, very bland, dulled, dulled areas. So he's kind of just trying to fill the gap that he thinks is there. And it's interesting because the actual meat of his concept is imposter syndrome and stuff. His whole mentality is the fact that he feels like he's not worth it. He doesn't feel like he should be here. He's like, I don't know how I got here, but I got here. Which is one of my favorite things, because I'm of the opposite mentality normally of, well, if you're having imposter syndrome, it's just confirmation that you're supposed to be there. because you wouldn't be having those thoughts if you weren't there to begin with. You know, like you wouldn't be thinking, "Oh, I'm not good enough to be here in this job," if they didn't hire you to be there at the job.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely. That's great mentality.
like, but he's like traveling the world and traveling Gostar, trying to spread inspiration and get to Phiast to fill the inspiration need that he's giving away without him knowing. Like he is inspiring people and his friends around him, and they're also inspiring him, but he also feels like he's not like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
He's like,
100%.
"Oh, you're totally inspiring me, but me, no, I couldn't do that. None about me is inspiring McThorgan."
Yeah.
Self-sabotage.
He's very self-sabotaging.
And what was it that made you guys want to join this, by the way? Because just for clarity's sake, because for fairness, I wasn't in any of the interviews, so I have no idea. You guys probably answered these questions in the interviews, but when you're doing the whatevers. But like, what was it made you want to do the stream?
Fame.
Fair enough.
Free Dakota Irish merchandise. I know. I really wanted to join it because I just, again, really liked the idea of, really like the idea of the, like, you know, the whole Irish mythology and the, you know, actually doing something with characters on like a stream, because that's always been something everybody kind of wants to do. It's like, oh, I'd love to stream a game at some point. And then when the whole like thing of, oh well, the last one is going to be live at Dingle, it was like, well, we're already going to Dingle, we may as well make it a
How convenient.
you know, if we were getting the choice, it would be great, you know.
Yeah.
What about you, Alice?
Oh gosh. Well, I'll be honest, I almost didn't apply for it. I just kind of, I loved the thought of it, and I remember reading the brief, and I remember I turned to Gavin and I was like, oh, we have to do this. And then after a while, I kind of just went, you know, I haven't really thought about the character. And then I was just like, maybe I won't, like, probably won't make it. You know, I'd say there's so many people applying to it, they'll probably never get to my character. And then one night I was up really late, I couldn't sleep, and I just sat down and I drew Tinky and Clinky, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna flesh this out, and I really, you know, I had this burst of kind of energy where I was like, no, I really want to do this. I have to make a submission within the next 6 hours. And I got this kind of wave of just like, all of a sudden it hit me, all the ideas that I could come up with, and I was like, shit, I have to type this down. When you know, when you have that like 2 a.m. thought where you're like, I need to write this down in the closest note with a notebook and pencil that's like nearest to me, and like it's all gibberish. I had that. I pretty much had that, and I was like, yeah, writing in the dark, no lights on, and yeah, I had this just. I suddenly got this motivation back where I was like, no, I have to do this. I have to submit something, and of course fun fact, myself and Gavin live in the same house, and we're also in the same course. So of course I'd heard about Clementine, and I just kind of went, no, I'd love to play with Clementine, and you know, the ideas that come out of it and looking at the world, and I just went, no, I have to do this now. And kind of within a night I got like, you know, the real foundation of what I wanted with Tinky and Clinky, and I just went, no, I have to do this now. You know, this is the perfect thing. This is the most I've fleshed out a character.
You got hit by Unfinished in the night.
I got it unfinished. It hit me, gave me whiplash. I'm still reeling from it. Broke my back. And yeah, I got so into thinking about Tinky and Clinky that I kept going, and I was typing it out.
Nice.
I went over the word count, couldn't type more, had to take out bits, had to write down the rest. And I drew her and Clinky, and I just went, no, I'm so happy with this. And then also what Gavin said, which was an initial thing for a thought for me, was like, oh my god, get to go live streaming. How cool would that be? I'd be a real Twitch streamer. A true Twitch streamer.
And how
Yeah,
do
because
you...
I've never watched Critical Role before until very recently, because sometimes I see it being played, so I never really knew how D&D streaming worked. So this was like a whole learning curve. But just the thought of like streaming D&D, and then of course, like Gavin said, we're going to Dingle anyway. May as well be there for something.
Friends.
Yeah,
May as well make some
and this is a
friends.
great way of doing it.
Absolutely. And how have you all found the stream so far? Like the whole being live and everything, and the experience of it. And it's kind of a vague question, but is it stressful at all or intimidating anyway?
It's a
No, it's
little
pretty
intimidating.
A little bit?
It's intimidating before we start.
Yeah. It's the first
Like, it's
and then you're like,
yeah, it's like the run up to a match or something. You're kind of like, oh god, I don't know what's gonna happen, and then we start, and then like it's all
just D&D.
I forget we're streaming.
Yeah.
We're playing. You know, we're having way too much fun. I'm definitely having too much fun with Iridessa and Clementine.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Way too much fun.
I never feel like I'm actually streaming. I always feel like I'm in the stadium seats, as so as to say, with everyone, because I do have Twitch open, and I do be seeing the comments, and I do be like, you know, I do be like interacting with them without typing and just kind of like cheering on the rest, because that's my favorite part of D&D. I love seeing other people's stories.
Yeah.
I will be the mannequin that just stands there and holds the bag of holding. I don't mind. I like when other people, you know, get the spotlight shone onto their characters, seeing like what comes from that. So I never really, no, it doesn't feel intimidating or anything, because I'm like, yes, I'm also watching this live stream. This is for my entertainment too.
That's nice.
Can we give a shout out to John as well for being like the best moderator ever?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes,
John's been
Absolutely.
fantastic. Absolutely. Like super entertaining the whole time.
quick fire responses all the time.
Yeah, he gets into it
yeah.
too, which is a brilliant part.
It's,
He's just,
it's
like,
lovely
mad
to
into
see
it.
just like the kind of constant conversations coming out of the games.
Yeah. And then the questions that come into for the crowd, and I want to answer them too, but I can't because I'm playing.
Yeah. I was considering having the chat on the stream, but I thought it might actually be a bit distracting for everything else going on.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it probably would be. You know what I mean? Like considering all the other stuff you were doing. I kind of, I don't know. It feels a little bit more. I was looking at the other streams as well, and I kind of feel like, obviously, we have the best art ever. So, like, I mean, all the other guys are like, you know, not even nearly as good as we are. But, but I was looking at the other ones as well, and it's like you're either looking at somebody's face, or you're looking at these kind of like, you know, or nothing, or little icon things, and I was just kind of like, I actually think our stream looks pretty cool. I was like, no, it's a pretty nice looking stream. You know what I mean? It looks pretty good.
Hopes that we're all beautiful artists, beautifully talented artists.
Oh my god, you guys are so talented. Can I just say as well, who was I talking to about the Gavin, you whipping out that Clementine and Iridessa thing in like 20 minutes after the stream.
Yeah.
You crazy nut.
Hell.
Holy shit. It was basically a finished piece in 20 minutes. Like.
That never happens. That never happens. I do not draw fan art. I don't draw fan art. I never have time.
Phiast once again.
Something came
I'm a
over.
massive procrastinator. I'm like Critical Role. I've been watching that since almost since its beginning. I've drawn like 2 pieces.
Yeah.
Dimension 20, my favorite D&D podcast.
Okay.
I have never drawn out from it.
Yeah.
This one, it was just a fucking Krunk and
Isma.
Krunk and Isma. I was like, that is just like the perfect representation for the pair of them.
It was so good.
Get
It was
out.
so good.
I feel like they should be in the Cusco movie instead of the original characters. Like, it's just so much better. They'd fit it even better.
Just to draw
It's so
over.
good. It's the materialistic person and the non-materialistic person.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah. I was really afraid because I was like, you know, being the only dude playing a girl in the stream, and I was kind of like, even though I knew Iridessa really well, and obviously I I don't really think it's necessarily valid. But you're kind of like, you feel a little bit of pressure because you're like,
Sure, yeah, of course.
you know, you're like, here's this deep voice coming out, and it's supposed to be Ardessa. You know what I mean? And
But
you know, you want to be kind of true to the character as well, but you know, also you don't want to be like diving into problematic situations either, where you're like, oh, you know, I said this one thing, and you're like, wait, she would never say that, you know?
yeah, but you've nailed it, honestly. Like when we play, I only see and hear Iridessa. It's just like you do her incredible justice, I have to say. Like, I mean, it's your character, so of course you would, but like you definitely.
I think that's one of the wonders of roleplay and immersion, is because I hear Luke's voice, but the power of fantasy and imagination just warps it into like, that's how we were just
exactly
like that. That's I can definitely hear like a very, you know, posh lady voice.
Yes, exactly.
Just being translated through Luke, and it's like
So good.
Yeah.
I almost think of it as Luke's voice being like one of those voice modulators.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. That was the thing, because like, you know, she is very, you know, she's very posh and very like blah blah blah, you know. So you're like, oh god, am I getting that right, you know? But no, that's brilliant. I'm delighted to hear you guys say that, because that was a big nervous thing for me. All right, yeah.
It's you bring her character across so well.
Yeah.
It's you don't need to voice act. You just
it overpowers
embody
everything.
her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All we get is just pure Iridessa.
I just realized I've drunk 3 liters of water so far. I'm gonna go real quick, or we can take a break if you all want to take a little break.
You go on. We're just gonna talk about you about how you.
All right, cool. That sounds great.
Sure, it's fine. It's fine. We'll have a chat while you're gone.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're fine. What was I was gonna actually ask? Funny enough. So, how do you guys find? Because obviously you're roommates, and I'm assuming you're not in like a massive house, so you guys must be pretty close to each other. How do you guys find, like, do you ever find like hearing each other across the room or something, like, son of a bitch?
Gavin absolutely hears me laughing through the walls.
Yeah, I think so. I will hear her sometimes. Like when she does like a big cackle, a big laugh or something, I'll hear it. But other than that, it'd just be fine. Like, to be honest, for such a shit house that we are in, the walls are pretty insulated. So,
yeah.
You know.
Well, that's good. Well, at least it's shit house, but well insulated shit house.
Student accommodation, like there's only so much you can get good.
Yeah.
I got you. And come here.
But
what was your...
No,
I was just saying, what was your favorite kind of bit with your character in the game so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't really pay attention to myself, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I'll give you a second to think about it. Mine is definitely Iridescent Titus, but purely from the fact that it was so, like, you know, so many people were like, oh, they got a thing going, you know.
Yeah.
You really want to lean more into it, you know what I mean?
And you're there actively like hurling and like stopping yourself from vomiting.
That GIF not the funniest fucking GIF? I did not expect to find that GIF. Sorry, guys.
It was the best.
It was the best. It was what's her name? Aubrey. Oh my God, what's her name? That actress name?
Aubrey Hepburn?
No. Do you remember the GIF I found of the girl swallowing back for Iridessa and the whole vomiting in her mouth?
Oh right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Shit was so brilliant.
No.
Such a nasty.
Swallows vomit seductively.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
So Gabriel, I asked the guys, right, what was their favorite moment so far in the campaign with their own characters? And I was saying it was, for me, it was Iridescent Titus, because I was just cracking up the entire time with her and Titus. But yeah, so that was my question to the lads while you were gone.
I think for Clementine, it's kind of a mix of two. It's one, the flower crowns. That was because I just didn't know. I was like, oh God, do something, and it was like, I'm after requesting of Gabriel that Clementine gets the ability to cast the druid craft spell, and I was like, it would be a slap in the face. Yeah, I'm gonna break the game with so many flowers. gonna happen.
like
I'm
two
gonna
bags
create
of
a black
holding just a
hole
million
of
flowers.
flowers.
Yeah, that's the moment where it
Uh,
just makes sense for your character to have that. It just like, why wouldn't they have that? Even if it
Yeah, and I
doesn't
was like,
fit into the
I
rules.
just gotta use it more than just once, because I was like, if I don't use it to do something silly, it'll never be used. So the flower crowns, but I also just kind of love the his kind of like whimsical like he's not afraid to be just entertained by everyone. Like the whole iridescent and Titus, like I was just like sitting there like this just all the time. Like with the cameras off, you can never see my actions, but the Clementine's always doing this. Like I speak doing this all the time with Clementine.
No, I can't wait to see that in the live game. Oh, that's gonna be great.
And then when like it was like, oh, do you like him? It was just you know. I just like how he's like not afraid to like just be like you and him. There's chemistry there.
Oh.
That was very fun.
You're gonna be
You know.
so good at the live game. Oh god.
Yeah.
It hits different when you play in person. It's like
Well, see, I'm not a very I'm very bland. Like I'm a monotone person. I would
totally disagree with that.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yes, this
I live with you,
is
I disagree.
Clementine behavior. Like
What's beautiful
at
about
home,
you,
like
though.
at home, I do constantly make people laugh at the fact that like if somebody says something really like happy or like something that is supposed to like make you happy or like celebratory, I'll be like, that's amazing. That sounds fantastic. I'm so happy for you. And that's just me. Yeah, I don't even notice this, so it's fun. It's so literally, Gabriel. That's me all the time. It's like someone's like, guess what? Like someone just found like a really like I don't know, like my dog's like they found a cure for my dog's illness that like was never going to be a thing, and I was like, I'm so happy for you. That's so good. Congrats.
You know what?
Like,
So happy.
I'm so happy. But it's so fun to like play a character who's actively all like he's so outwardly like expressive. It's a good change of pace.
That's nice. Well, that's the beauty about D&D, and what I've found is when you play a character, there comes a point where you've played them for so long that you absorb them kind of into your own personality, and you just gain those traits. So I had a character, Zavion. He was super like Genki is the best word to describe him. Really, really confident, and he's also a Fey Lord. He's a child of two of the Fey Lords, but he's a Scottish elf, and I played him so much. And then there came a point in my life where I realized I just have all these traits now. They are just me, and I would also just switch to his voice randomly, that kind of thing. That's more of an extreme case, but what is lovely is like if you have like anxiety, if you have something that you're like insecure in, but then you play this character who has that trait so strongly, all of a sudden after like a few months of playing this character, you kind of just you strengthen that side of yourself, and it's amazing for that. I think it's this beautiful kind of petri dish or safe space where you can try out these other sides of yourself and master them. It's lovely that. So it's really
I think
interesting.
that's why it's so successfully used in helping kids with autism and kids with social disorders, social anxiety, and stuff like that to kind of learn how to deal in those situations, you know, because it is a bit of it. Well, it can be, not always, but it can be a very safe space, you know. So giving people that ability to kind of get out of themselves for a bit, and that's the beautiful thing about the game. It's the beautiful thing about acting, you know. Like I think the reason I think the reason that more people don't act is because they're scared of this type of thing, like getting up and being on whatever. But otherwise, they're at home and they'll just be like, let's put on a play. Like, how many families have had the kids just get around and be like, great, we're doing family, you know, talent show today. You know what I mean? And everybody does that. So I think it really taps into something with all this, the need to perform and tell stories, you know? I mean, I was reading something there about Neanderthals and Homo sapiens and stuff, and kind of the interplay between them and why they think that Neanderthals died out and things like that. And then, like, they're talking about, like, human society, which was much more complex than Neanderthal society. So I can imagine these poor Neanderthals walking around like, kill the Mastiff, or whatever. And the humans are over here going, let's play Mastiff! Who's going?
Let's paint on this wall.
Come on, kids, practice killing your father!
I do have to agree with that, because Alice is aware of this, but when I first started college, we've been friends since first year, and like she's been the head of our D&D group since first year. I have a character called Horkin. He was a light cleric. It was like this drow who like escaped the Underdark to pursue the light. But I can't play him anymore. We ended just before the main battle. It was supposed to be the end of semester, end of game thing. I can't play him anymore because his whole personality was my anxiety in first year. And through playing D&D, I've learned to be more confident in how I act and just as a person, to the point where I can't remember how I my mannerisms from first year to play that character again.
He was a bit of a timid character, and then looking back on it now, you played through, which was a traveling brothel owner.
Yeah.
Female Minotaur, traveling brothel owner. How do you go back from that?
Yeah. People thought I was putting it on, but no, the character that I played was literally just me trying to make friends.
Thinking back on my character, her name was Val. Oh, typical first D&D character kind of thing. She was a rogue, and I think as well she kind of.
Rogue, was she?
What?
I was gonna say, was she a hot rogue?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And in a way, she was kind of, definitely her mannerisms as well was kind of first year me, incredibly quick to trust and, kind of timid, but still kind of trying to get the feelers out and, didn't really know what kind of personality to have. And now I'm just most of the characters I play now are fucking idiots just like me, and I can embody that it's there's no tomorrow. I there's a whole new I'm not someone who, as the cool kids now say, have riz, but I'm definitely a lot more charismatic now when it comes to
that way, because I have no idea what riz is all about. I was I had to look it up. I was who come up with riz?
Riz sounds
shot.
like it's something
I didn't know until 3 weeks ago. It's short for charisma.
It's just short for charisma.
Yeah,
it's
he's
got that riz.
He's got things are coming back full circle.
Yeah, no, they were done out.
Yeah.
Well, why aren't people saying wizard anymore? Wizard.
History's a flat circle.
A flat circle.
Flat circle.
It's just a record player that keeps going around the same song.
Yeah.
100%. But I don't know how I could play a timid, semi-mysterious rogue again, because I'm used to now playing characters that are a bit more willing to kind of step forward, kind of into the frame, kind of like that. Really, it's strange. It's very strange.
Actually, that'd be a good question for you two. How was your first playable characters compared to your most recent? Is it along the same trajectory as the pair of us?
I mean, I've always been the DM. I have a
Your
few
NPC.
characters. My first NPC. Okay, that's a better question. But I'll let you go first, Luke, because.
No, you go on.
Right, okay. I mean, I've had characters. I've played as character, and I think it's very essential for a DM to be a player as well, because you understand both perspectives. And as a player, I find it very frustrating when you have to keep making the same role again to keep doing something. So as a DM now, I'm you can fucking do it. It's cool. I'm not gonna slow you down. You're gonna get there eventually if this is something you want to do. So just you can do that. Things like that. But my first NPC. he is actually an NPC that I have brought back in my 6-year-long campaign, and he's become a very prominent character again, which is really nice. So he was a character, I actually don't know if this is still his name, but in 4th edition, that's the edition I had, they give you a beginner adventure, and there is a big bad in that. He's a necromancer. He's called Malekith, and he is trying to. They don't really say what he's doing. He wants a box, and there's a gem in the box, and it's up to you then afterwards, after this first game, what is in that box, and the players find it.
It's just a real nice ring. He's like, I gotta add it to my collection of rings.
Yeah.
This real jewelry man.
For his girlfriend.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah.
I love doing that too in D&D. You know, I think you're beating up this like really nasty guy, and he's just trying to get an engagement ring because he's broke. And then they kill this innocent bystander who just was in the down. He just wasn't doing so well.
A current DM does that. It's awful. Continue.
Yeah.
Like.
But so I would compare those two, like where he was and now what he is in my current game. So originally he was a evil wizard. He had a bit of a posh voice. He was a half elf, and you know, he fights the guys. I didn't really initially when I first played D&D. I definitely used it more as a dungeon crawl. And later, as I played it more and more, I understood the kind of. It was actually when I was 17. I played D&D with my girlfriend at the time. And when we played this game, I played with my brothers up until that point, and they were like, oh, kill this guy, kill that guy, all that kind of stuff. And I ran the same game with her where Malekith was the bad guy and there was these goblins, and she asked me at one point, like, she didn't want to attack the goblins. She was like, well, can I just tie them up? And I hadn't read anything about that yet. I was like, well, and I was like, in my head, something just clicked, and I was like, yeah, of course you can. And then from that point, I realized like it can just be anything. You don't have to kill everything. But Malekith was just a guy whacking people, bringing his undead characters. Very bland. This is when I was 14 or something like that, 13, 14. But now I actually ran that same adventure for one of my players who is in my campaign now. Because they kind of joined later on, so I kind of ran some solo games for them to flesh out their backstory, their characters, because everyone else is level 20. So we went back to their character being level 1, and I used this campaign as a thing. And I brought Malekith into it, and she immediately died. Like halfway through the dungeon, she died. And I was like, oh shit, this character exists, like, you know, in the future. So Malekith brought her back to life and put that crystal in her chest and reanimated her, and that crystal belongs to this big eldritch being that is the dreamer, that he dreamt up the entire universe. So this crystal slowly over time then started coding her entire skeleton. So in the future now, she later discovers that in this 15-year period, she has become this walking mech essentially for that god, for that being. But Malekith at the time, he was just a cool dude. He was just a nice dude, kind of experimenting. He was a little corrupted by this crystal, but he was just fucking around like with some zombies. And
he was just bored.
We played another game where she
just was lonely. You want some friends?
Yeah, but she disintegrated half his head. So he was basically dead, left dying on the floor. She escaped, and he met him again. We did another kind of one shot where she met up with him again, and because he had lost like one half of his brain. He had forgotten all his memories. That's essentially it. And he was starting anew. And he was this really nice guy who was just like, and she was so skeptical of him, just does not trust him because she was like, you were evil, but he wasn't. He brought her back to life and everything. He's just, so I really like this guy. He wears now these black silk dressing gowns. He makes tea. He does still use zombies, but he hates the ick of zombies, so he does the proper like same way Egyptians do. I got inspiration from Magic the Gathering actually with is it Amonkhet, where the mummies are these porcelain white beings, because that's what mummies would have looked like at the time. So he cleans all the bodies, he enchants them with magic so that they don't go nasty, and then he puts these beautiful white bandages all over them. and kind of sprays them and spritzes them with perfume. So they are undead, but they're very pleasant undead. So
They're
that's
undead, but not as dead.
that's the period of time there. That's where that's how I've
I
evolved.
love that.
I love the perfume aspect of it as well.
But like in reality, who wants to smell corpses in their house
No.
24/7?
No,
Like you
no.
would just go insane. So in my head,
Such logical thinking.
yeah,
That's the
exactly.
thing.
That's where I've gotten to is logical thinking. Like no one fucking wants to have dead zombies running around. They stink. If you've ever smelled the corpse, I unfortunately have.
That's pinnacle of D&D though. It's not the logic of should this spell work. It's the logic of why would somebody want zombies
Yeah.
to smell all over their house.
The cleaning that is involved every day,
It's like-
everywhere they step, is
It's
rotten skin.
it's not the fact that like the dragon is impersonating a person. That's okay. Where are they keeping their hoard?
Yeah.
Do they just have a rented apartment that they've just like one of those like those storage shed compartment things where they just randomly
Oh,
go
yeah.
every
Oh
once
my
a week
God,
to just
I love it.
sit and look at their hoard and then
storage
close it
units.
and leave again.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
But
Yeah.
yeah.
That was that. By the way,
love that.
for the people who are on here, that was actually one of the first questions about Iridessa was how is she gonna carry her hoard?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Maybe she get a little bag, put all that stuff in the bag. Actually, it's funny you're talking about your girlfriend at the time, whenever when you're having that thing. Remind me of a story that Stuart, the guy I was telling you about earlier, who'd been playing from like first edition. I think it was him anyway, or somebody who'd been playing for a long time anyway. They decided to do a campaign with their daughter and her friends,
Yeah.
right? So the daughter, and they're young, so it's it's like a gang of girls, like 8 of them, right? And they're all playing D&D for the first time. So it's a really easy campaign, and they're supposed to go and kill these wolves, but instead of killing the wolves, they made the wolves their friends.
Aw.
And then they ran around with a wolf pack.
It's
That's
beautiful.
more
Really
badass
cool.
than killing
I
wolves.
know.
Yeah.
It was great. I was like,
Easy to kill wolves.
when he told me that story, I was like, I always felt it anyway, but I was like, that is why you need more women in the games. Because dudes, we would just been like, murder those wolves. With all the girls were like, let's make them our friends, and we'll go around and take over all the cities. I was
Let's
like,
have them
this is
friends.
I left my original D&D group with my friends back in Trim because they were all murder hobos, and I was like, I thought we were supposed to tell really fun stories about our characters.
Yeah. Why are you murdering everybody, Fran? There's this one guy we play with, and that's what he does. He just murder hobos everybody. And you're like, oh god, why do you have to murder hobo everybody all the time? Like he put together this thing. I won't go through the whole thing, but he puts together this thing, or I put together this thing for them, and they get out of it, and as they're running away, he just magics a knife and throws a dagger at an old woman, murders her, and runs past just for the crack. It's like,
Oh man.
No, see, that's the ramifications I want to be listening to.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would
Oh,
make that old lady the new big bad. Like she
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
hunts
Yeah.
this person down. Like why
Yeah.
is this person so cruel? Does everything in her power. Does like a whole Bruce Wayne on it.
yeah.
Or the
it's like,
child that Granny.
They get to the big bad's like evil castle. They like fight their way through the dungeons and everything, and they're like about to burst into the courtroom to kill them. And you just see this like 6-year-old with a knife in the like lich's neck, and they're like, "Excuse me," and it's like, "I'm looking for you. You killed my granny.
Yeah.
That was my birthday. She had a cake. Like
Brilliant.
I never got cake that day, and I haven't had cake since. And I'm gonna kill you. Finally, gonna get my revenge."
This level of chaos reminds me of the Halloween one shot you did, where at the very start, one of the guys we played with,
Listen,
Gavin,
this
would
was
you like to
my
tell the story?
second time DMing. I'm wanting to do a whole homebrew campaign. It's what my 4th year project's like intro. It's going to be like an animated intro to the world. I've been planning this for years. So I ran a Halloween one shot, and within the first 15 minutes, one of the players murdered a kid. Less. Within the first 5, a child was murdered.
Scolded by a pumpkin.
Because yes, this guy, picked up a pumpkin because it was Halloween. I was like, there's pumpkins everywhere. And he was like, I'm just going to pick up this pumpkin and yeet it. Like, throw it over a building. And I was like, please roll for me. And I think he got a 2. Like, he got a 2. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to roll some things. I rolled not what I wanted. I rolled the bad. And I was like, yeah, you just like hear the like rotating of this like pumpkin over the buildings, and then you just hear the splat, and then a couple seconds later you just hear like this kid screaming. I was like,
we hadn't even finished the introductions by then. There were what, 5 of us. We literally had gone through 2.
That was their introduction. They were like, I'm introducing myself. I'm chucking a pumpkin. I'm killing a kid.
But in reality, you killed the kid. I mean, they threw the pumpkin.
Oh yeah, no, I wanted to kill the kid. Yeah. I was like, this person deserves to feel pain, and I'm gonna kill a kid because of their action.
Throw pumpkins in my world, you bastard.
No, how dare you, bastard. There's no pumpkin tossing in this magical place.
It has been banned since then.
When I was young, we used to play Rollmaster. We started off with Rollmaster. It was during the 3.5 era, and the guy who was my friend who got me into role-playing, he hated Dungeons & Dragons. I have no idea what his hate level was, but I suspect it had to do with the fact that you had so much math going on. He was not happy with it. So he loved Rollmaster. Rollmaster is a really simple system. It's literally a D100 system, so you choose 2 D10s for your D100 rolls, and that it's simple as that. You know what I mean? You get bonus points, whatever, for different things, and you know, and you add them up. It's exactly the same in a lot of in spirit to 5e. But anyway, so we're playing, and I had this character. I didn't think about how many characters I've had over the course of my life. Holy crap! But I had this one character, and he was a wizard, and he went to fireball or something happened, and he died. Is what happened. He was like a cat man, and he just like got destroyed or something. And so anyway,
he did.
Yeah, he TLDR, he did. So so I was like, I have to make a new character. I was really pissed that he killed my character. Right? I love this character, and I felt like he was just being a dick, and he probably was being a bit of a dick at the time as well. And so just
We're
because
not gonna say anything.
Yeah, just because I was so pissed about it, I made this. This goes to your first story, Alice. I made the sweaty rogue who is the slutty sweaty rogue is what she was, and I was like, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna seduce his part, and it was so bad. Oh my god, it was so bad. I was so thick with him over it, and I'm like, she's gonna sit on your. I was one of the other characters, right? Gonna sit on your lap and just try to seduce you, and he was like, what the fuck? He's like, I fuck her off me.
Get out of here.
And I was like, and they're like, yeah, we don't want anything to do with her. I had to go roll another character. And I was like, you know what, fuck you guys, I'm going home.
Oh my god, the flashback is like, oh yeah, just one random evening, this like weird lady came in and just started like standing all over us,
sitting on me everywhere, you know. Oh my god, like it was so funny thinking back on it. I was such an idiot. I was like, but it was, you know, when you're young. I was only like 18 at the time. I think 18, 19. I was like, my favorite character. So, but,
I'm trying to think of my introduction to tabletop was actually my brother. I had just finished my leaving cert, and of course I had a whole summer ahead of me to do whatever I liked. He got me into Starfinder. That is how I started. He and 2 of his friends were like, hey, my brother Dennis was like, hey, I'm thinking of running like a really short Starfinder, like literally a mini campaign. By then they were 4E, I believe, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna do this. You know, the 3 of us, you know, we're looking for a 3rd player, you know, make it a bit better. And my brother was like, you know, you've always been interested in me playing D&D, this might get you into it, kind of a thing. And I was just like, nerd shit, of course I want to. And I was like, this sounds amazing. And so we ended up playing, and oh my god, the absolute crackhead shite we did over the summer. I barely knew these 2 guys. I just knew they were friends with my brother. But the things we did were absolute batshit insane. And that was kind of where I learned that, you know, the things you do have consequences. But we made most of it. I played this 6 foot 4-armed, alien, and one of the lads played this like 3 foot, basically rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy, and we ended up. I specifically remember we ended up making this like, the kiddie stand-on harness. That you can like put on your shoulders, kind of a thing. I specifically remember this because a friend of mine in our myself and Gavin in our own other D&D channel that we have with our friends actually sent in the photo of it. That's what reminded me of that existence. And my unseen servant with tea. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yay! I have tea. And yeah, it was just we ended up making this harness, and whenever we couldn't reach things, I just picked him up and absolutely fecked him. And of course, I built my character as strong, not realizing the consequences of I could almost just skull someone with this rocket, basically. And it was after that did I kind of start to learn that role playing has a great aspect to it, and then of course learning about how 5e worked. Once 5e came in, I was like, oh my god, it's so easy to make a character. Wow. And of course all the presets and everything was a whole new world, going from sci-fi to fantasy as well. Holy shit. But it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So weird. I was so young. I was so stupid.
Yeah, wait till you get to my age on that one, Alice. You look back like,
I grew an extra brain cell, surprisingly, over 4 years. It took me 4 years to do, but I now have 1 extra brain cell.
I think my first introduction to D&D actually goes back to when I was about 5 or 6 or something. And my uncle, when my cousins would come over, we'd all sleep in the same room, and he would come down and he would tell us gunslinger stories. So based off of the Dark Tower series. So he'd read this book, and we had no idea what the book was. Only a few years back I realized what the Dark Tower was, and it was actually that's where the gunslinger comes from. But he told us the gunslinger story, but we each got to pick a character we wanted to be in the story, and he would add them all into the story and tell bits of it every night to us while he was over. And so we got to engage, but we never got to do anything in it. It was just him telling us what happened, and each of our characters having a moment in it. And then it came a point like where he just wanted to spend time with the rest of the adults. He didn't want to be there down in the bedroom for hours. So over time he kind of stopped. And I remember there was a moment I was like, I'll just tell the story. What does everyone want to be? And I had the great idea where you can all choose how you want to interact with the story, and that was my first experience of D&D. I was about 8 at that stage, and we were all out in the tent sleeping together, and they made their characters, and I made a story, and they interacted with it. And I was looking for something like that ever since. I remember reading Yu-Gi-Oh, like the Zero Yu-Gi-Oh comics, and in one of those episodes he plays Zod or something like that, and I was like, oh, it's an actual game. So I made it kind of basing the rules off that. I was like, I've got D6, we can roll dice, and I made these little Play-Doh things. I painted a map and brought my brothers up to my room, and I didn't know I was playing D&D until another few years later, but yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's like fantastic. The most wholesome D&D intro story I've ever heard, Gabriel.
Oh.
I don't believe a word of it. It's all shite.
Oh, that's why I'm a great DM, man. I can improv on the spot.
Mine's the opposite. D&D was way too nerdy for me.
Huh? Too nerdy for you.
Listen,
you're a hurler now, are you?
Has Gavin was a bit of a dickhead when it came to the nerdy things. He used to think that nerds were weird, and nerds and D&D was a nerdy thing, and playing games with your friends and having fun was nerdy. He had no hobbies, but he still thought he was better than everyone. So, but yeah, I got into D&D when I was like 19, and I was like, wow. Yeah. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, I'm an artist. Why am I not playing this already? This is great.
Yeah. It's always like that, though. You know what I mean? Like I always say, I've never met a single person who said that they hated D&D. Oh yeah, I played D&D and it was shite. Oh Jesus, it's shocking. Never heard that. Not once in my life. You know what I mean?
I've always heard that it was just too much for my little brain. That's the best reason I've heard for someone not getting into D&D was that it was like it was just too much. You know, it was too much between, you know, the maths and the probability and stuff like that. And I remember sitting down with them being like, but that's like the whole point of not being able to predict what you can do is like the best part, you know. You're just through D&D I've actually learned how to improvise because I'm really not great at role playing. I do sometimes struggle with it. I don't always get into my characters, and I do sometimes hesitate even in real life when something happens. Sometimes I can just I don't know what to do in that situation. But through definitely like playing D&D, I've learned that it's not just a great nerdy game, but like, you know, you actually learn fantastic skills from it. You can learn improvising, you can learn role playing, like we've already talked about as well earlier, charisma. You know, get a bit of that riz.
To be honest.
Yeah, it is. It's better than going to like a bar and just drinking until you're out of your mind.
I'm not a bar person.
No, I'm not either. I was one of those people who, you know, didn't have many friends because of the fact that I didn't want to go out drinking and all that kind of stuff or clubbing and stuff. And this, all of a sudden, I found a group of people who love playing D&D, and I find that the best way to spend time with people is playing games, and because you get to know people the best, I think, when you play games with them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sure, the closest people I know were through D&D.
Yeah, like my current friend group here, 4 years strong is because of D&D anyway, so, and I wouldn't have traded that for anything. Like,
yeah.
I mean, maybe now.
$1 million,
Yeah, totally can't smother you in your sleep.
Yeah, she could definitely kill me.
That probably is a good note to end on, actually, if you want, because I know we've been chatting for about 2 hours. It hasn't felt like it, but
yeah.
Well, yeah. Thanks for
good vibes.
The whole time.
Great chat.
I mean, you could chat about D&D for forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to get another stream going when you guys are drawing. Real time, get the like camera on it, like see the techniques.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as well, I'm hoping to do a stream on Saturday. I'll do some map building, map making, and it'll be fun. But maybe we could do some what's it called, Magma Studio or something in another stream. It'll be fun.
Oh yes.
There was
that would be great.
What software are you going to use for your map building?
I use Dungeon Draft.
Yeah, no, you're going to do Dungeon Draft, are you?
Yeah.
I told you about that one I was using, didn't I, for the big maps?
Yes. Yeah.
What was the name of it again?
It's not.
Incarnate.
Yeah.
Incarnate. Incarnate.
I have it in my notebook. I have too many
Incarnate.
Incarnate.
Yeah, Incarnate. Actually, what's so cool about Incarnate is the level of detail you can get for those big maps. Like, your map, the Dungeon Draft is so good for like what you're doing for your dungeons and stuff. But like for the big maps, oh my god,
for
Incarnate is so good.
Big maps, I now use Wonder Draft, which is made by the same people.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And that's how I made the map of Gostar and An Daingean and stuff.
Ah.
Yeah. Really nice big world maps with that.
Yeah. They're pretty good too, actually. Yeah.
I
do like some map building.
Me too.
I'm a stickler for specific things, and if something doesn't have a specific thing that I want, I will go mad. So I hand draw my maps.
Yeah.
I'm currently trying to hand draw a regional map of the homebrews.
I used
this
to,
is awful.
but I have now 4 campaigns or something like that. I cannot anymore. I can't keep up. I remember when I first started streaming or playing online on Discord. It was like they were the most shitty maps ever. I'd never used many maps before because we were all playing in person. I'd just draw them up on like a wet erase board. But then I was like, I have to have maps now, and the difference now in map quality is insane. But it's thanks.
It's so good, dude. That you use that so well though. Like even watching when you were playing like the water and stuff. I like some of the features that I think it's. Yeah, it's so good, so good. So Right. Well, listen, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you very much for the chat. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
It was
See
great.
you
see you on
tomorrow.
Overwatch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just gonna hop in a different call.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. All right.
Yeah. See you
Take care,
tomorrow.
everybody.
Tomorrow's good.
Absolutely.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
See you. And...
Oh no, the formatting.